So we've had lots and lots of serious stuff, and I thought time to look for something slightly more entertaining. And who is slightly more entertaining than my cousin and yours, Barry Hilton? Welcome.
Hey, Stuart, thanks very much.
When are you going to finish that wall?
Oh, every time the guy comes round to finish, I find he drinks too much and he's obviously plastered.
Why didn't I see that one coming?
It gets worse.
It's lovely to catch up with you. We've known each other for the longest time. For those who don't know or don't remember, why did you get into comedy?
It was a calling, like the call of the wild or whatever. I knew that I was quite funny. I had a little bit of problem with it. I used to ask people all the time, you think I'm funny enough? Think I'm funny enough? Think I'm funny enough? And eventually, enough of my friends said to me, yes, you are funny enough. Go and have a go. So I tried for 3 years unsuccessfully to get a gig from anybody. And then I bumped into Johnny Noble, a blast from the past. I told him my predicament and he said, okay. So he organized the show for me. I did the show and he actually started mentoring me from that. And my first show was in 1983 in Port Elizabeth at Lily's Bar, I believe, at the Holiday Inn. So then I went from there. And I haven't worked at it since.
To me, it must be one of the most terrifying things. I mean, I'm okay with being on a stage, but when you walk out there, it took you years to get the profile you've got. Did you ever die on stage?
Oh, so many times. I died so bad one day. I saw Elvis and Bob Marley at the same time. Yeah, it was bad. But anybody that tells you that they haven't died on stage, any entertainer, any speaker, anybody that's are lying. Simple as that. Because nobody has perfect shows.
What is it about comedy that works? How do you touch an audience?
I think my comedy, if I may say, is real. I used to do, back in the days, I used to do jokes, but then I realized, no, man, you can't do that. I just started discussing life and things that happened to me. And then it's funny because, if I talk about my children, the majority of the people out there I've got kids, they do that as well. GCM. And they laugh about it. We talk about tax, we talk about divorce, we talk about all the nonsense that goes in life. And I think it's because I'm relatable to people. Proud of it. A lot of people come to my shows and they bring their young kids, 13, 14, who don't know who I am. And you can see they're there under duress. And it's what a wonderful feeling. They're like going, who the hell is this guy? So then when I'm on stage, 5 or 6 minutes, I see these guys laughing and I think, job done, well done. And then I've sort of converted a few people. So it's a wonderful feeling to bring laughter to people.
And also, we work with a lot of the comedians. I must say, yes, you've never, ever disappointed our client, but it's also your language is clean. You don't see the necessity.
Johnny Noble, he said to me, if you keep it clean, you will always be in the scene. I always remember that from Johnny Noble. Keep it clean, you'll always be in the scene.
Now, you and I were having a meal together a while back, and you said, I'm developing a talk. Yeah. And I said, what's the subject of your talk? And you said, it's the other side of me. And I said, well, what do you mean? So tell me what you mean.
It's my backstory, if you want. It's about my struggles. I call it 3Ds, with depression, dyslexia, and DDHA, which is a joke, obviously. And I used humor to overcome that. And then I talk about situations in my life, what happened and how I use humor. And I tell people, look, humor is the answer to everything. Even in the darkest of times, you can find funny. And people naturally want to laugh. You don't want to cry, you want to laugh because it makes you feel great. And it's a great communication skill and all that. So my talk is about that. Hey guys, it's cool out there. This is what's happened to me. This is how I've steered my way through it. And I'm still here and I'm having fun. Now I'm showing you how to do it. because I've had serious problems in my life. I had a full-on breakdown, and I was in a clinic, and I wrote jokes in the clinic, so because it was my way of getting better. And I'm not ashamed of telling people that I suffered a breakdown and I have depression and things like that. So that's what my talk brings to people. It's okay. It's okay to have depressive thoughts. It's okay to not feel good about yourself. It's okay. But if you look at the other things that are brilliant in your life, it sort of brings you back up again.
I think I've heard on many occasions the likes of the Robin Williams and so many comedians who are or were depressives in their offstage times. And I wonder if is it what makes you more critical of the world around you, or see it through an eye which isn't the normal view, but suddenly you see the banana and the slip in whatever situation you're in.
Absolutely. And how many times I've come off stage when I've thought I've had a terrible gig, and people or friends or fans of mine come up to me and they say, wow, that was flippin' brilliant. And then when I sit and I analyze what I did, hold on, actually I did that and I did that. So subconsciously, as a comic, as an artist, we are always working and trying to be better. You can't say, oh, I did a great show, that's my level. You want to do better next time, and better and better. It's just the nature of the beast, but I love it. So it's great.
I think also you are one of those comedians, you're always writing new material. Not all of them do it, and we've had that conversation, but you're always, you think it's always got to be fresh. And I guess, the world is such a place to poke fun at. I mean, look at it now.
Absolutely. And it's the stupidity of life. Like, for instance, a young comic I know in Johannesburg phoned me up on Friday and said, listen, he knows there's been some big floods in Cape Town. Can I give him some jokes? And I reeled off 5 jokes for him. And he was saying, how'd you do that? And I said, practice. Because like one of the jokes I said, this guy's car broke down in Strand Street in the foreshore, but they didn't send a tow truck. They used the tug because it was raining. And he went like, how'd you do that? I said, well, it's just exaggeration and just the ludicrousness of things. Like they've changed the name during the floods of Bree Street, and they're actually charging people to fish there because it's Bream Street now. So you got to laugh. And my thing is I try and do 10 seconds of solid material a day. But it adds up to over an hour a year. So 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. And of course, I do a lot of stuff ad lib on stage. Obviously, I do, because I can't I'm not one of those comics that has a set routine. I get on stage and start talking and go from there. And I think maybe that's the drug that brings me back, because I'm thinking, wow, that's taking a chance, but let's go. That's what it's about.
And you also love feedback from the audience, don't you?
Oh, love
it. That feeds you. That feeds you.
I actually stopped doing massive shows. My last big show I did was 8 years ago. I was at the Sydney Opera House, and I filled the Sydney Opera House completely. And before the people say, oh, there's a lot of South Africans in Sydney, it wasn't like that. You can't just arrive at the Sydney Opera House. You have to be invited. And I was sitting there and I was like talking in a vacuum. It was massive, And I said to Sandy, I want to do something else. So I started concentrating on smaller gigs, which is much more fun. I did a gig yesterday in Noordhoek, and I could basically lean down and touch the audience. It was that close, and it's like raucous laughter. What a great feeling it is to get up on stage and just smash it like that. It's brilliant. I love being close to my audience.
Yeah, and they obviously, and you're also very physical. I mean, that
yes,
you've got the face for it, you've got the build for it, and lots of copycats, I must tell you.
Lots of I've had instances where I've told a joke that I wrote 15, 20 years ago, and somebody would come up to me and say, why are you stealing so-and-so's material? And I go like, what? I won't do that. I don't steal anybody's material. I don't do that. But what actually happens if somebody takes my material and uses it, to the person that hears that for the first time, that material belongs to that comic.
Sure.
So, but a lot of the guys, so you got to take it as a compliment. Oh wow, this guy's done this. Okay, cool. I used to get cross about it, but now I think, okay, then they still must respect what I do, because otherwise they wouldn't try and copy what I do.
Are you easy to live with?
I've got 3 wives.
3 wives. Yeah, I think it probably says. I think it says a lot.
Yeah, we're together for 17 years. So, yeah, I'm not easy. I mean, you tell me what artist is easy to live with. We temperamental. We sort of say stupid things and do stupid things and buy stupid things, whatever. So it's difficult. But now I've got a balance. With Sandy, she's the one that keeps me level. So it's great. So it's worked out great. So am I difficult to live with? I would imagine yes, but she handles it.
I was just thinking, watching the Wimbledon tennis finals, and you look at someone like a Djokovic, who's so absolutely fanatical about his lifestyle and what he needs to do. And I just thought that cannot be easy. It's all got to go around his plans.
I saw the clipping of that, and I could actually see how dejected he was. And he was beating himself up. Because while he was talking and accepting, the second prize and all that stuff, I could see in his head the thoughts popping out. I should have done this. I should have done that. I'm pathetic. I shouldn't have had that pizza. So it's part of the deal. But if you can't think like that, you'll never drive forward.
Yeah, I also suspect he's probably never had a pizza.
That's a tall order. Oh, no, he's just very tall. Yes, of course.
Just tell me before we wrap up. Tell me a couple of lowlights in your life that come into the talk about it's okay to not be okay, which is kind of the subtitle of your talk, isn't it, really?
Yes. One of my lowest points ever in my life, my brother died of cancer. And I was about to go on stage in Durban, and I got a phone call backstage. When the light comes on backstage, there's a technical or something. And the stage manager called me over and gave me the phone. And it was my brother, who was in hospice. And he said to me, Barry, I'm going to die. And the doctor hasn't given me long. What should I do? And I don't know why. I said to him, commit fraud, because the judge will give you 9 years. And then he started laughing about it, and I laughed about it. And then he said to me, well, there's something good coming out of this, Bass. And I said, what's that? He said, well, you got to pay the bill. So I went on stage with that. Now, when they announced me, I could have said, no, I'm not going on stage. I could have gone on stage and said, I can't do this. Or I did what I honored my brother. I went on stage and I did 75 minutes and I smashed these guys. But I was so emotionally tied up at that time. As I left the stage, I just basically burst into tears. It's my older brother and whatever, but you can't let the audience down, so you have to do it. So that's part of the deal. It's the job we do.
Well, I have living proof. You went on stage for us once with double pneumonia. You didn't phone us before and say I'm sick.
Absolutely.
All I knew was the show went ahead, and I think it was probably Sandy told us afterwards how sick you were. So you are a pro. I think people will get a lot of takeaway from this new talk of yours, because mental health is now acknowledged as just so everywhere that people need to pay attention to it.
Yes. And can I tell you something? I had to postpone our talk today.
Yeah.
It was because I was actually talking to my psychologist, because I've been having a hard time. So mental health comes first. Stuart Lee comes second, but only a close second.
Well, thank you for letting me come second. Thank you for your time today. It's always great catching up with you. And I wish you well.
My life is leading.
I wish you well, and I wish you better.
Thank you, Stuart. I appreciate it very much. Take care.
Thanks, Barry. Ciao.